Hi, thanks for joining us here today. We get a lot of questions and a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails on older Sota turntables. So today we have a table, an old Sapphire Series 3 that somebody traded in, and I wanted to go over a few things. So when you're setting up any Heritage Series suspended Sapphire, Nova, Star Sapphire, Cosmos, any of our suspended tables that have springs on them, there's a few important things. First step, if you get one of your tables and the platter is moving, then the Sapphire may be broke because before it was transported, they didn't lock out the Sapphire. I'll go through that here in a bit. But you always want to lock out the platter. There's two Allens underneath that you get into with a 3/32, and you tighten them up until they push the platter all the way off of the ball that then rides on the Sapphire, which is underneath the spindle right here. So this is already set up and leveled. You can see it's important to actually level to the platter, most importantly, because on a lot of older Sapphires or old Heritage Series, the springs, if they're tired and one of the four springs are sagging, you'll want to level to the platter for that exact reason. If it's a newer and the springs have just been replaced, then the suspension underneath should be 1/8 of an inch front to back and side to side. So this is well within tolerance, and you cannot level unless you have 2 pounds 14.9 ounces in the tonearm well. These are designed, so what we do to set that up is we have the tonearm board, the 3 mounting screws, the cartridge, and the cartridge mounting screws, and we'll weigh all of that. And then we have some copper-clad BBs that we now use, and we'll put them into a little styrofoam cup until we get the entire assembly weighs 2 pounds 14.9 ounces. And then if there's any extra BBs, we'll put them into the tonearm well, which is right here. So these, we just have some weight attached to an old board, so we know this is 2 pounds 14.9. Now these springs are shot. We're going to actually restore this table, and we're going to do a lot of this on these videos so you can watch and follow along. My goal is that we can have some repair centers or some repair techs that are more than capable enough, and they see some of these videos, they'll be able to start buying spring kits from us and then handling these in the field. Why? Because it's terrifying to ship these old Sotas through UPS. They can get damaged. I've seen where the finger joints actually have popped out, and so it's important to us to keep these things running in the field. So level to the platter. And you need to have a little bit of bounce here, not as much as on this. These springs are actually tired. You level with the 3 feet that are under the table, and they're 1, 2, 3, and you can just loosen them. You have to make sure that you have a little bit of a gap to the suspension. If the suspension doesn't move at all, then the 3 feet are up and locking out the suspension. So let's get into that now. Okay, so you're ready to lock out your platter so you can transport your table. You have your 1/2 inch bolt, which goes up into the shaft and holds the bearing block actually. This is a very old, so normally you'll have either a square or a round metal disc here. And a lot of times there'll be 2 small nuts on them. You'll loosen the nuts all the way up, and then you'll tighten these 3/32 Allen cap screws all the way in until the platter no longer moves. There's one. I can feel it push up the platter, and then here's two. Now if you have the little nuts on here still, then at that point you'll push the nuts all the way up, or tighten them until they're against the sub-chassis. And then you can see on this that the sub-chassis is actually resting a little bit on this foot post. And that's because we don't have cardboard here, 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 and here, keeping everything equal distance, north, south, east, west. So what we like to do is we put a strip of cardboard here, 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 and here, which will then get it off of these. And this, actually this foot post and this post took a hit in transit here, which caused it to get damaged. If we'd had the cardboard here, 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 and here, that would not have happened. Then we take 1/2-inch styrofoam blocks and we put them over the foot posts. And at this point we're locking out the suspension. And what we would do is we would actually, on the newer models this is a little shorter, so we could actually use these. On these old models you have to put a washer and a nut over to hold this down. Then the suspension will be locked out, the platter's now locked out, and it's ready for transport. We'll actually take some more of this and put it in 3 spots around the platter just to ensure that nothing can move during transport. Now you're setting up the table. You'll loosen your transit screws. Now if you have a brand new Sota that has maglev, you will not have these, so don't worry about that. You don't have to do that at all. But on the older tables you will have to loosen the transit screws, and that'll drop the platter and the Sapphire back onto the ball so it's ready to move, and the platter is now loose. You'll remove your cardboard and your foam. You'll install your feet. Make sure you don't go all the way and lock your suspension out again. You'll install your 3 feet, and this is how you level it when you get it horizontal. So you put this, and I always leave a little extra room so you're not going to hit anything on the sub-chassis. And then once you've turned it horizontal, with these 3 things, that's how you'll level to the platter. Hope this makes sense, and we'll see you on the next video.